What's up, riders? Old man Ronin here. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, we're in the shop again today because we're going to put a new battery in the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Stay tuned. So a new battery, huh? Yeah, I think it's time. You know, Royal Enfield, in particular the Himalayan models, have had a reputation of their batteries not being so good. And again, mine's one of the original ones that's been shipped overseas. It is a 2018, it's an EFI, and it has the older style components to it. In fact, there's no ABS, nothing like that. So it's one of the original BS4s, and I'll tell you what, I love the motorcycle. Unfortunately, in those early years, the batteries didn't have a tendency to give full potential. They broke down. In fact, I know a lot of guys that are saying, man, I had to replace my battery in the first month. And a lot of them were done through warranty work. Well, I've got a 2018, and I bought the bike in 2020 from a gentleman who bought it and then didn't use it at all. In fact, it sat after he bought it from 2018 until 2020 and had 11 miles on it. When I brought it home, I put over 85 miles to get it to my house because, and that basically was the start of the actual use of the motorcycle. He actually trailered to his house because he bought it from a dealer that was an hour and a half or 2 hours away. So he trailered or had it delivered. I wasn't sure exactly. I didn't really ask him. All I know is he's a fan of the channel, and he approached me and said, hey, I heard you talking about the Himalayan in some of your earlier videos. Are you interested in mine? And I said, what's the price? But be that as it may, the older Himalayans had a tendency to burn through batteries. They just weren't the quality of battery that you would expect from Royal Enfield. So that brings us to today. You know, I keep my batteries, all of them, on the Harleys you can see in the garage there, all on battery tenders, a small 750 milliamp trickle or float charge, and my batteries last forever. In fact, the Road King sitting right there, that battery's been in there for over 10 years, and it's still as strong as the day I put it in, because maintaining the battery, because there's always some kind of parasitic drain, and particularly with motorcycles that have alarm systems or clocks or you name it. And the Harley has I don't want to say alarm system, but a security system, which means that it's active all the time. You can't start it if you engage the security system. So that's monitoring the entire time. The Himalayan, it has a parasitic draw as well too. So I always keep it on a battery tender junior as well. Recently, and let's say within the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've noticed that if I turn the key on, that my battery just doesn't have that oomph that it used to have over the last couple of years. And in fact, I did a test. I took the battery tender off of it and just let it sit, and the parasitic draw, just from what the electronics are doing, I had to jump it. And in that situation, it opened up a few other doors. In fact, that door was, I noticed that I didn't have any shift indicator. It would have a neutral, but there was no, you've seen a flashing line instead of first, second, or third. So what I did is I pulled the battery completely off, charged it off of the bike, put it back on, and then I turned the key on and everything came back to normal. So if you ever have that situation where your gear indicator doesn't show, and it's not the little switch on the bike itself, take that battery terminal off and let it sit for at least 5 or 6 minutes and put it back on. You might realize that your gear indicator will start working again. Pro tip, just teasing. But yeah, it's something that worked for me. In fact, I tested it again and it did the same exact thing. And I pulled that battery off and let it sit for 5 or 6 minutes. It kind of did like a little reset after I hooked it back in after a full charge, and she worked fine. So now you know we needed a new battery. I could probably get away with it for the rest of the year, but I personally don't want to take the chance. You know, there's some times when I'm out and I'm doing some hikes or whatever, and I let the bike sit for a period of time. I don't want to have to carry a jump starter with me, which, you know, that brings a whole bunch of different issues into the whole mix. So I decided to buy a new battery. And the options were traditional lead acid, which is in it, and of course the new lithium ion and the lithium iron phosphate. The lithium batteries are without a doubt what I was going to do, and to be honest with you, on every one of my new batteries I put, and even the Harleys, are going to be some lithium batteries as well too. Let me talk a little bit about the differences between the two. The lithium ion is really, really great for like cell phones, for electronics, things like that. They're very durable and they do last a long time. But there are some negatives for a motorcycle. They do not like heat. That's number one. And they don't like to be shook around a lot. Number two. And, you know, the lithium iron phosphates are made specifically for that. In other words, they actually can take 10 times the discharge as what a lithium ion can do. Which makes it, in my opinion, actually last longer. Now, I'm not talking as far as a constant discharge. That's where the ions work a little bit better. But if you're talking about cold starting an engine, or if you're talking about longevity of that cold starting ability, and the fact that it weighs a lot less, and if you've read the news in the last couple years, they don't blow up either like the lithium ions do. They don't get really hot, and they don't explode. So when you've got that kind of difference, yeah, I'm going to go for the lithium iron phosphate. And I'll tell you what, the one I decided to get was called the Mighty Maxx, and let's talk a little bit about that. Well, the battery I decided to go with is the Mighty Maxx, and it's kind of the industry standard. It's really, really light, and I'll tell you, you can mount it any position you want to. There's no, you know, in a motorcycle you're going to put it one way, but you know, if you wanted to for some other purposes, you could turn it sideways or upside down or whatever. No issue, and that's what they say even in the instructions. One of the cool things about this one, it's got a little meter at the top here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it actually gives you the amount of voltage that's in it, so you can keep a track. Just pop your seat off of the Himalayan and you can check what the voltage is on it just by hitting the button there, and you can also tell how many times it discharged too. There's a little meter there as well. And again, the cold cranking amps are, this one's fit specifically for the Himalayan, but the cold cranking amps are on the higher end of what it needs to be. And like I say, it's kind of a no-brainer, and we're definitely going to give this thing a good test. We'll do a first impressions after a while, but what we're going to do now is we're going to do an install. So let's go over the bike and put her in. Now these here, we're going to take a side panel off now. These are 4 millimeter, and you have to remember that there's 3 screws and 1 rubber grommet. So these 3 are the screws, and this is the rubber grommet. When I first got the bike, I think the guy left the battery in it and didn't try to winterize it or keep it on the charge, because he tried to jump start it and he ended up breaking this panel. And I keep talking about it in all my videos. I actually had to buy a new panel, and it cost me like $10, but you just pull it off. And be careful, because it'll break right down in here, and it just slides in that little rubber grommet. Well, I wanted to take this side off because we're going to have to take this bracket off here. But before we do that, let's unhook the battery. I always take the negative side off first, and that way I'm not arcing anything in case my hand slips or my screwdriver slips on the frame. And so I'll take the negative side off first and just pull the wires up and out of the way. And then we can go to the positive side. Well, to take the battery out, there's a couple little steps, and it's really, really easy, but you have to follow the steps. Number one, this is a 10 millimeter bolt that'll need to come out. This little piece right here, this little condenser looking thing, this little cover here need to be pulled forward. So what I like to do, and you can cut these wire straps, we're going to try to do it without cutting the wire ties, but we're going to slide this little rubber condenser thing out of the way. Back under here is another little piece that slides out, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this rubber coupler right out. The way it looks, we're going to have to cut these wire ties, so let's do that. Now the key to get this bracket off is push back and then kind of twist a little bit and pull it out. See, there's a little hole right here. There's a little knob that it goes inside of, and then pulls forward and then locks it in. And that should give you fairly easy access to your battery. After a little finagling, I did get it in there. So all I really have to do now is put the, adjust the clock, put the seat back on, and hook up my new selectable battery charger, because or maintainer, I guess is what you'd say. Now this one does 800 milliamps, which is just 50 milliamps more, but it is made specifically for lithium style batteries, and you actually have to have one of these as opposed to having a regular battery tender junior. So what you get is a system here, and if you can see, it's got a little selector here and it'll say lithium, and when you plug it in, you push the lithium side, and you have exactly what you had on the other one. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video today, especially why I chose the lithium iron phosphate battery, and of course you having to have a lithium style charger for the new style batteries. It's a lot lighter. It took a little bit to get it in, to be honest with you. It just doesn't slide in, but neither did the other one slide in or out. You had to work to get it out. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification button, share and comment. I read all the comments and comment on as many as I possibly can. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video, and until next time, ride safe and keep her on two wheels, baby.